One of the scariest symptoms anxiety sufferers and people who experience panic attacks experience is this difficulty breathing, this feeling like you're not getting enough oxygen, this feeling like you may even pass out. Now, this feeling may be combined with a chest tightness, followed by maybe even palpitations. And so it's so easy to think that you're experiencing some sort of medical condition, some sort of breathing issue that needs to get resolved immediately. And you may have even done that. You may have even gone to the doctors and gotten everything ruled out. In fact, you may have gone several times, only for them to tell you that everything is fine. In this video, I really want to talk about how anxiety can create these symptoms that can convince you that you have a breathing problem, the feeling like you can't get enough oxygen, this feeling that you may even pass out, and really how by the end of the video, just showing you a few things to make this go away long term. So pay attention. So I remember when I experienced my very first panic attack, I didn't know what it was. I genuinely thought I was going to die. And after I had my first panic attack, things just kind of changed. And what happened was I started experiencing more panic attacks. Now, I had never experienced panic attacks before. I never had them before and didn't even know what they were. You know, we always used to joke around and say, oh man, that gave me a panic attack. But I didn't know a panic attack was like that. I didn't know it felt like you were going to die. And it was the worst feeling in the world. And it was something that I was scared of feeling that. I never wanted to feel that again. And so when I had my first panic attack, naturally I became scared of it. And so what happened was, ironically, is that I ended up getting more and more panic attacks. One of the symptoms that I would experience is this feeling like I wasn't getting enough oxygen. This feeling like I would start hyperventilating. And this feeling like if I didn't focus on my breathing, I could pass out. Now, I was getting other physical symptoms too. I was getting heart palpitations, chest tightness. For me personally, one of the biggest, scariest symptoms for me was just digestive issues too. So I had a whole bunch of very intense symptoms that really convinced me that there was something wrong. And so what happened was that I was experiencing these symptoms, but I didn't know why I was getting them. And so really what's happening, in order to really make this go away, you really have to understand what's happening. And so what's happening is something called the fight or flight response. Now, hear me out. The fight or flight response is an innate mechanism. Every human has this. Every mammal has this. And what it is that it's designed to protect you. Okay? So there's two real responses. You either run away from something or you fight something. Now, why are these two responses the fight or flight response? Well, you have to understand, historically, for us, it was all about survival. The biggest thing to really survive from was typically predatory threats. Tigers, lions, snakes, tribal warfare, whatever it was, something to run away from or fight. And so your body has this innate mechanism that's almost automatic. It is automatic. And what it does is that it creates some physiological changes. Now think about it, okay? If you're running away from a tiger, or if you're about to run away from a tiger, don't you want your body to kind of gear up and prepare you for running long distances, or if you need to fight, to give you the energy that you need to fight something off, right? Yeah. So what does it do? Well, one of the things that it does is that your body actually starts getting more oxygen. That way you have more energy, you have the ability to run farther and longer. And so not only that, but if you need to expend yourself in something, you can actually do that. So what is happening is that your body is getting more oxygen. So how does it get more oxygen? Well, the way for your body to make sure you get more oxygen is by making you feel like you're not getting enough. And so what does it make you do? It makes you feel like you're not getting enough. So that way you can get more and more oxygen. You feel like you're gasping for air when in fact you were already getting more than enough air. You really were. Your body is just getting an extra amount because it feels like it's in a threat. It's in a survival mode. It's based on the fight or flight response. Now, you may be thinking, because I thought the exact same thing, which was, okay, Shaan, That's great. That makes sense. Here's the problem. There's no tiger. I'm in a grocery store. I am just sitting here. I'm doing nothing. I'm watching Netflix. I'm at work. There's no tiger. So, okay, I get it. I would experience that in a threat. I'm not experiencing any threat. So if I'm experiencing this, it must be because there's something wrong. That's not actually true. And once I understood why that's not true, it made so much more sense. See, when I had my first panic attack, a panic attack comes and goes, but something actually happens after a panic attack that nobody talks about, which is your nervous system becomes sensitized. Here's what I mean. When you experience a panic attack, your nervous system becomes sensitive. It thinks that there was a real life threat. Now, if you saw a threat once, historically, the chance of you seeing another threat in a very short amount of time was very likely. So once your body saw a threat once, even though there was really no threat, it was just the panic attack that scared you, it sensitizes you so that it keeps you more hyper aware of other threats. So you become sensitized. This is where people start getting kind of intrusive thoughts, physical symptoms, other things going on. So essentially what's happening is that they had a panic attack that sensitizes them. And because they're sensitized, well, what happens is that they start feeling this breathlessness, the way you're experiencing it, the way I used to experience it. But because there's no threat, the thought of the breathlessness itself becomes the fear. The fact that you may actually pass out, even though you won't, is actually the fear. That's exactly what's keeping it alive. The fact that you're not getting enough oxygen, the fact that maybe this is an underlying breathing issue, maybe this is a heart condition, maybe the chest tightness is an onset of something else. That in itself, that's the tiger. It doesn't have to be a physical threat. It could even just be a what if situation. Now, if you combine that with 2020 or whenever you're watching this video where, you have Google and, you can WebMD stuff. And anytime you do that, you look at the worst case scenario and you find it, it's very easy to think that, this is a life sentence or something serious is wrong. So it's really important to understand that even though you feel like you're not getting enough oxygen, if you've gotten everything ruled out by your doctor, which you definitely should have, don't be watching these videos if you haven't gotten everything ruled out by your doctor. Well, the reason why your doctor didn't really care so much because he saw or she saw that you got enough oxygen. So this fear about passing out, this feeling like you're not getting enough oxygen is just a feeling. And so this is why it's so important to understand what's happening, to understand the mechanics of anxiety. So if you really want to know more how anxiety works, how to really get out of this, I'll put a link down to my private Facebook group. What I've done is I've made a group where I'm putting more exclusive content, things that I'm not posting on any other social media platform, including YouTube, breaking down how these symptoms work. If you could just understand how these symptoms work, well, you wouldn't be scared of it. You wouldn't fear them so much. You would understand, oh, okay, so that's why that's happening. That's happening because of the anxiety. And so if I just focus on the anxiety, all this goes away. But this isn't something you just do. You really have to understand what's happening first. So if that's you, hit the link down below. Now, when you hit the link, it's going to ask you 3 questions. It's very important that you answer these 3 questions to the best of your ability. We want people in the group, but we're also trying to maintain the integrity of the group. This isn't a fix me group. This is more about understanding what's happening and focusing on long-term freedom, not short tricks or, quick comfort or something to help you get out very quickly. This is more focused on long-term freedom. So check the link down below. So look, I get it. This breathlessness feeling is not fun. It feels like you're trying to get enough oxygen. And then even though you know that it's all part of anxiety, it's difficult. It's difficult to allow it to be there. It's not fun. And it's always something that you just want it to go away. Breathing is something that's just so automatic. And it's something you may have even taken for granted. And now you feel like you're never getting enough oxygen. And what happens is that a lot of people think that they may even pass out from it. Now, I have a mentorship where I'm guiding people step by step. And a lot of the people that have this issue, they're always like, Shaan, I'm afraid I'm going to pass out because I'm not getting enough oxygen. And the truth is that I always ask them the same thing, which is, well, how many times have you passed out from this? And the answer is always 0. Unless they have some other condition from the past, this isn't anxiety related that, where they are able to faint quicker, they would know this before anxiety. The answer is always 0. Now, why is that? Do you think that's because they were managed to grab something, or they were, making sure to get enough oxygen 24/7? No. The idea was they were never going to pass out. They were getting enough oxygen. They were just getting more oxygen than normal because their body was gearing up for the fight or flight. So that's all that was happening. So you have to understand, in order to focus on long-term freedom, you need to take these symptoms with a bit of grain of salt, these feelings as a grain of salt. You can't really trust your feelings. That's why it's so important to get everything ruled out by your doctor first. If the doctor's clear to you and they just say it's nothing, it's just anxiety, believe it. Because it's one of the most common things. And if you could just understand that it's anxiety and focus on a few things, this gets fixed by itself. So if you really want to know more, if you really want to understand how to get out of this once and for all, you can go ahead and click a link on the bio below. And in that link, it's going to show you, it's going to have a report. It's going to break down exactly how recovery looks like. Essentially what I've done is written out step by step how recovery looks like. The link is down below. The report is absolutely free. It really breaks it down. Read it again. Really focus on long-term freedom here. Yeah, focus on how anxiety creates these symptoms, because if you can understand that, well, then all these symptoms, you know what to do to make these go away. And once you focus on making it go away, then it's good. Then you don't have to worry about coping or managing or reading inspirational posts or watching these videos. Try to understand what's happening. You just focus on living, forget about it, and know that you're healthy and know that everything's fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.